Good morning. This is Sister Cherry Love coming to you live this morning. I wish I could say I'm coming in good spirits right now, but I'm not. In fact, I'm coming to you all with a broken heart. And I know a lot of y'all are probably at work, going about your day, and that's fine. Eventually, a lot of y'all will catch this video. If you look at my title, it says Sister Cherry speaking about some of the issues here in Chicago, Illinois. It's a lot of issues here. Nothing that is kept secret whatsoever. Everybody knows about it. And it's heartbreaking. Y'all bear with me. Last night, Mikael and Priest Dalalala, I can't pronounce his name, did a hangout last night. And it hurt me. It hurt. It hurt real bad. But it was so true. The murder rate here in Chicago is ridiculous. And this is not what God intended for not just Chicago, Illinois, but for no place. And I believe that the violence here, not just around the world, it's something about the violence here in Chicago. It's a little bit, it's eerie, it's different. Something is wrong. And there have been pastors. I know for a fact my pastor has been speaking to the issue. Activists have been speaking to the issue, and etc. Trying to curb whatever this thing is, but it's getting worse. And so last night, Mikael and um, Priest Dalalala, um, they did a thorough hangout. I think they're supposed to do a part two, speaking to the violence here in Chicago. And I'm sure it's all over YouTube about Zach TV, who I am familiar with, was killed over, I guess, YouTube drama. Uh, I don't think it was Facebook. I believe it was YouTube. And YouTube, please don't take that. I'm holding y'all responsible because we can't. This is just the instrument. YouTube is, an app that allows people to express themselves in many different ways. It's not the app that's the problem. Google is not the problem. Hey, even Facebook is not the problem. It's the people that are using the instrument that is the problem. The intent, the motivation. What is your motive? What message are you sending out? And I'm just asking y'all to bear with me because my heart is so broken. Not to mention it's an embarrassment. And I was going to address this last night, but I was just so heavy. My heart was so heavy after watching that hangout because it just brought back a flood of memories of all of the things that has been taking place here in Chicago, things that I have been through in Chicago, my family, and other families. So I'm not just making this about me. I heard Mikael's story about what happened to him and some of the decisions that we make in this life can come back on us. And he owns that. He owns that. He owned up to that. But hearing the story about what happened to him, it's a repetitive story. It's a repetitive story, but the pain is just as piercing. It hurts. And he was honest. He was honest. Just like I'm being honest with you right now. Y'all need to pray for the city of Chicago. We have adapted the name of Chiraq. And the reason why they have called the city of Chicago Chiraq is because the violence here is just ridiculous. We have had people go overseas from Chicago, born and raised here, to go overseas to fight in wars overseas, such as Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait, all of those, whatever they may have an issue at in the military, and come back alive, only to come back home just to die. This is ridiculous. This is out of control. And so when Mikael was talking and giving a thorough truth about what's going on here in Chicago, it just brought back so many memories. And it's to the point now Sister Cherry just don't even want to watch the news anymore. Just recently, once it got hot here, it was forecast that 100 people died in 1 week from gun violence. Ages from young to probably maybe people in their 30s or their 40s dying tragically from gang violence or whatever. He did make a point, something that I have been thinking about for a long time. Recently, I want to say maybe over the past year or close to 2, maybe even 3, we have been having expressway shootings. Shootings on the expressway. The Dan Ryan done had over 7, maybe 8 different shootings. Nobody caught. Lakeshore Drive, we done had about 5 or 6 shootings on Lakeshore Drive. This is the expressway now. Mind you, on these expressways, you're going about 50, 60 miles an hour. On the Dan Ryan, maybe 65, 70. Because it's just a broad freeway where you can go travel from north to south. And the Dan Ryan is like the heartline of Chicago, which carries you out to the 294, which carries you either further north or further south to Memphis, all the way down south, Indiana, etc. You get the idea. And like I said, on the Lakeshore Drive, you're probably doing about 50 miles an hour, maybe 60. All to just get shot on the freeway and nobody ever caught. We have the Eisenhower, which goes from east to west, mainly west, because it's a certain point where the Eisenhower and the Congress will end, which will lead to the loop, which is called downtown Chicago. And we done had 5 or 6 shootings on each one of those expressways. Nobody caught. Nobody caught. And mind you, on top of that, some of those expressways have actual cameras. And I'm sure y'all familiar with the story of Tyshawn Lee. Tyshawn Lee was a 9-year-old boy, little boy, whose father was caught up in gang activity. And at that time, he was staying with his grandmother and not with his mom. But, you know, they didn't have anything to do with the situation. And he went to a park to play after school, and 2 gentlemen that he knew or probably was familiar with, I'm not sure, but they lured him away into an alley and they executed him by shooting him in the back of the head. They shot him in the back of the head, and one of the guys, witness, said that he stood there and watched his body twitch until he finally died. What kind of person are you to do something like that? I myself have experienced gun violence, near death. Um, in 2016, me and my family stayed on 79th and Ellis. And I'm sure Mikael hears this. He's very familiar with these streets that I'm talking about because he too is living here in Chicago. And my husband picked me and the kids up from my mother's house, who stays on the opposite side of the south side. And we were turning into an alley to go home. And oh my God, a boy who couldn't have been no more than maybe 14, maybe 13 years old, came out between a garage and some bushes and stuck a gun in my face and in my husband's face while we were in the car with my children in the back. My daughter, my youngest daughter, she couldn't have been no more than maybe 2 months old. I had just had her. And mind you, at the time, my daughter was probably about 11 and my son was about 6. And my nephew, who was in the car, was no more than maybe 13. Good children. And it was by God's grace that he didn't shoot us, because he looked in the car and we had our hands up asking him to not shoot us. He was looking for somebody that night to come through that alley. And We proceeded back to the house. We reported it to the police, who really didn't take much interest like that. Going further, me and my husband, we talked and we talked. I was a nervous wreck. I was a nervous wreck. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do nothing. I was a nervous wreck. But the story doesn't end there, because that same boy that stuck a gun in our faces came back that same night, still around the neighborhood. And eventually, the person that he was looking for, he shot that person 2 hours later. And how I know is because my husband went to the back and he looked back there, and the boy's body was laying in our backyard. That's something that will never leave my mind. And I choose it not to affect me, but yes, it breaks my heart. It's terrifying. And so from that point on, me and my husband immediately, we moved from there. When we took the apartment around 79th and Ellis, we didn't know how bad it was, because when we had just moved there, we wasn't there no more than maybe 6 months, 8 months. And it looked like a pretty decent neighborhood in the daytime. And it was daytime and it was winter. And so a lot of people say here in Chicago, the best thing to do to check out what neighborhood you go move in is to go check it out in the evening in the summertime. That's what you know what you're going to get. And that's terrible. That is terrible. The violence here is out of control. And we got a set of good people who are trying to make it, who are trying to go to school, who are trying to go to work, who are trying to actually live a decent life here in Chicago. But we're in a tight squeeze, because on the right hand, we got gang violence, people who want to kill us, our own people, as you as you would say. And then we got on the left hand side, we got the Chicago PD. Now, don't get me wrong, all of the officers are not bad, but they have some strong issues there too. I'm sure you guys heard about Lakia Boyd, who was gunned down by a police officer, an off-duty police officer, Dante Servant, which took them over what, 3 or 4 years to release him off the force, if they did. And I'm sure you guys heard about Laquan McDonald, who was gunned down, shot 17 times by what's his name, Officer Van Dyke, who is right now currently in court, uh, dealing with that particular case. And I'm sure you guys all seen the protests here in Chicago, massive protests. In fact, I believe that was when Black Lives Matter was truly born at that particular time. And it's just been a mess ever since. So we're in a tight squeeze. We're at a tight squeeze because where did we go? In our neighborhoods, we got the gang violence that's running rampant. And then on the left side, we got crooked, racist police who don't give a damn about you, who want to kill you too. So when Mikhail began to speak last night, oh, I hate him right now. When he began to speak about all those things, I was glad he was speaking out, but I was hating him at the same time. Why do you have to speak about this? Why you gotta talk about this? Why do we gotta keep reliving this? And I didn't want him to speak about it, but then at the same time, he needed to speak about it because it's the truth. Do you think it's glorious that we have a movie called Chirac made about the gun violence, and guess what? It's even crazy. The movie didn't even do any justice, any real detail about what's going on here in Chicago. I was ashamed of Spike Lee. I wish he hadn't even did the movie. I wasn't sure, was he really trying to hit to the issue or was he making fun of the situation? I'm confused. I don't know. And every day I go down on my knees and I pray. The first prayer that I have is thanking God. The second prayer, which is ridiculous, I have to pray that a bullet don't fly through my house and hit me or one of my kids. Now, I do live in a decent neighborhood, but in the surrounding areas, it's bad. It's bad. And I know a lot of people say, well, Sister Cherry, just get up and move. It's not that simple, especially when you are either living check to check or you have so much invested in one area. It's not that easy to pick up and just move like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so many people are just going about their way. Even now, some of the violence is starting to push into the downtown area. You see, our wonderful mayor, he's busy beautifying downtown Chicago, while the rest of the city is at a massive neglect. And I will give it to them. They're trying. They're trying to curb the violence here, but it's out of control. It's out of control, and people are just don't know what to do. And at first, I really toured with myself all night long. Should I even say anything? Because I'm not here to exploit this brother's death. I'm not. And in fact, it doesn't even shock me because now a lot of us have become numb. It's almost become normal, complete normal to hear about gun violence here in Chicago. It's pushing up to the north side of Chicago. People are getting stabbed on the CTA. In a minute, if you don't get stabbed on the CTA, and when you come down off the CTA, or you got to pray that you don't get shot. That's the number one thing now. Just pray that you don't lose your life. And all the time, it's not all the time that people are just caught up into something bad. That is part of it. But then you got your everyday person that's just going about their day. Going about their day. Like me, I'm going to go to work. Do you think I'm looking for a bullet? No, I'm not. I'm looking to live just like everybody else. And I can't help but hear God asking all people, not just Black people, not just Hispanic people, not just Native American, to turn back to Him. All people. All people. Black, white, Hispanic, Chinese, whatever nationality you are. And this is not about nationality. This is about what's right and what's wrong. And we all need to turn our faces back to God, the God of heaven and the maker of earth. And we need to humble ourselves, and we need to seek his face, and we need to pray for one another. We need to love one another. We need to help one another, and we need to be honest. It's not just everybody's so focused on off YouTube, just white supremacy, and then on YouTube, then we've been talking about the black supremacy, black supremacy. Both are wrong. Any type of racist supremacy is wrong. But here's my thing to the black community. How we gonna protest against the politicians, the law enforcement, the law enforcement and those who are in authority if we are not right ourselves? How are we going to scream at the police officer that shot down somebody wrongfully? And guess what? We got this brother on the right hand side who ain't got no business with a gun, turns around and he shoots down an innocent person or shoots down somebody because they said something wrong to him today. See, both sides is wrong. Nobody's hands is clean, except for that gap, that small narrow gap of those people that I told you about, that is going about their everyday lives, that works, that goes to school, that's not looking for trouble, looking for a productive life, trying to live a godly life, trying to live a decent life. Those are the ones who are not accountable for this, but we're standing in the middle, on the sidelines, whatever you want to call it, and asking, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all not going to be satisfied until you just kill us all. That's the feeling here in Chicago, Illinois right now. And that's just a small aspect, honestly. Because I'm sure that there's other thousands or more of Chicagoans that can go deeper than what I'm going through. And me just having a gun stuck in my face, I'm sure it's another person that can tell you worse, that done had something done to them here in the city of Chicago. Not to mention the mass gentrification that has happened here. Yes, all of the projects just about, yeah, pretty much, not just about, but most majority of the projects are gone. Cabrini Green, they tore it down. The Village, they tore that down. The Robert Taylors, they tore that down. The Ickeys, they tore that down. They tore down all of the projects. And what happened? All of these people, especially the ones that was doing a heavy gangbanging, got spread it out through the Chicago neighborhoods, and it's been up creek from there. It's been ridiculous. And I sat under the mayor, Mayor Daley, who's been mayor since I was a little girl. I think I was 4, maybe 5 years old when he came in to power. Before him was Harold Washington, first black mayor of the city of Chicago. Black mayor of the city of Chicago, real good mayor, from what I can remember. And then he passed on, then Mayor Daley took over. And it just got worse. Now we have Rahm Emanuel. I would say something about Rahm Emanuel, but I'm a Christian woman. And I don't believe that God will forgive me if I speak on him. So I'm just going to leave that alone. But for those who are in different states, y'all don't heard about what's going on here. It's no secret. It's no secret. And instead of it getting better, it's getting worse. And my thing is to, like, Black Lives Matter, just don't protest just the police. We need to protest as well in the neighborhoods. And these gangbangers, they gotta go. These gang affiliates, they gotta go. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's because they come from a tragic home. Oh, because, my mama was an alcoholic or my daddy wasn't there and all that other stuff, all this extra stuff. And yes, those things too are hurtful. But it does not have to determine what your outcome of your life is going to be. You can do better if you choose to strive for better. But like Mikhail said last night, a lot of them have lost their will to live or whatever's going on with them. This is not just a me problem. This is everybody's problem. This is more than just a Chicago problem. This is everybody's problem. LA, I'm sure they're going through their thing. Crenshaw, I'm sure they're going through their thing up there in California. New York, I'm sure they're going through a lot of stuff up there. And you know what? Here's another aspect. One part, we're asking for the police to do something. Those who hold those positions. Now, Mayor Giuliani, who I'm not a fan of, I am not a fan of him at all. And I could have choice words for him too, but like I said, I'm a Christian woman, and I'm not going to go there. But I will say this: some of the stuff that he did in New York was needed. And I know a lot of y'all won't agree with me, especially the Hebrew Israelites. I know they won't agree with me, but something has to be done. Now, I'm not saying police brutality. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But at the same time, you young cats or whatever the case may be, those who are in gang affiliates and doing all that reckless behavior, look, if you continue to do that while the community is crying out and the blood is crying from the ground, guess what? Eventually, yes, Chicago will become a police state. More than just a police state. Martial law. They've been, yes, Mikhail was right. They have been threatening to bring martial law here to this city. But guess what? Y'all not doing nothing to stop it. The more you kill people and kill each other, the more you take each other out, then want to place the blame on somebody else. The government is not trying to hear that. Guess what? Eventually, you're going to give them that open door for them to bring martial law here. And instead of you being treated like an adult, now you being told like a 5-year-old, you gotta be in the house by 7 and 8 o'clock in the evening, and you can't come out your house. Part of that is your fault. Especially, I'm speaking to the gangbangers, if they ever leave, or the ones who choose to continue with the gangbanging lifestyle. To every effect, there's a consequence. You can't just run out here and shoot other people, kill people, and expect something not to happen. That's retarded. That's stupid thinking. This has got to stop. And it's hurtful. It's more hurtful than shame. Shame, I can get over shame. I can get over embarrassment. Because people remember it for a moment, and then they say, oh, yeah, that's the girl that slipped and fell, and the ponytail fell out her head. But okay, in a year later, they may or may not remember. But when you kill somebody, or you stick a gun in somebody's face, that's something you don't forget. That's something that lives with you or stays with you almost for the rest of your life. Whether you choose to allow the situation to affect you or not, it stays with you. That memory stays. And that's a fact. We need y'all prayers, y'all. And I'm sure in whatever state and city you're in, I'm sure y'all need prayer there too. Sister Cherry is praying for everyone. And now this hateful situation is taking its flight onto YouTube. I've seen it. Especially when we're dealing with the things, the quest of the Bible, when we're dealing with the lessons of, false doctrine, correct doctrine, and all that other stuff. It has even infiltrated in Bible study, threatening people with guns. And I'm going to put these people on blast, because you know better than those people out there that's gunning down 9 and 10-year-olds and 8-year-olds. You know better. And I'm calling you out. Mighty Hebrew, go sit your butt down somewhere. Hassan, Global Media, go sit your behind down somewhere. And to all those who like to get on social media and pass threats against people and literally try to intimidate people and got the audacity to call yourself men of God. You are not men of God, and you sit up there carry on like that. Go sit your behind down somewhere. While you on social media showing guns, while people are out here on the street actually getting gunned down. You know better. You know better. You're a bunch of dogs. But you want to call yourself righteous? And you think it's fun and games to show guns and threaten people's lives on social media. It's messy. And we, the real people of God, because y'all a bunch of fakes and phonies. Now I called you out. We, the people of God, the real people of God, we sick of you. You can't control yourself. You can't have a civil dialogue. You can't respect that somebody else got a different opinion from you. Then don't have the conversation. Get off of social media. Go somewhere. We don't need you. It's enough of you bastards around here that's causing this mess. I blame you. How many people we done heard about that have lost their lives over Facebook crap? Now we got people losing their lives over YouTube because you are too weak and cowardless because you can't stand somebody else's opinion. And I know you're not going to like what I say. I'll be damned if one of y'all literally threaten me. Because I have a God on my side that's going to protect me. I'm not worried about you. But I call you out. And this ain't got nothing to do with Shield Squad. So don't bring them into this. This is strictly Cherry Love. And then got the audacity, the galls to sit there Yeah, bruh, I feel where you coming from. Yeah, man, I'm sorry that happened to you. But then you turn around, you flash guns on social media. You are a coward. All of you are a bunch of cowards. And if you keep it up, I will be bold enough to say, I hope you burn in hell. We got enough of this going on. You think it's fun to watch a mother cry over her son or daughter being shot down? Do you think it's fun to see a widow or a husband to hear about their wife or their husband or their loved one that was a police officer that was gunned down? Do you think it's fun for us to hear about children being gunned down? Do you think it's fun to hear about people running up in churches, gunning people down? Do you think it's funny to hear about people being gunned down, period? Mighty Hebrew and the Hebrew sovereignty. Shut up. Don't nobody want that garbage. You can barely take care of yourself. And if there is some real Hebrew Israelites, real men of God and women of God, then stand up. Shake these people off. They making you look bad and they bringing you a bad name. Yes, I agree with Israel doctrine. On one hand, I agree with him. Not the fact that just Hebrew Israelite doesn't exist. But the fact of it is, you're not civil. And it ain't real. And you're going to put a target on more people's backs. And y'all out here doing things. Get on social media willy-nilly, and we're going to just show a gun, and then we're going to talk big stuff. And guess what? And then you wonder why you got the FBI knocking at your door. Talking about, why did this happen? Because you let it happen, fool. You're the cause of it. You see, effect, consequence. You know, well, I forgot. Half of you fools didn't go to school, so I can't expect much from you. But yes, I'm hurt and I'm angry. I'm hurt and I'm angry about the situation. Zach TV shouldn't have lost his life. He shouldn't have lost his life, along with the countless others. We had a 14-year-old who lost her life over Facebook situation. Facebook. Over Facebook. Literally over a boy on Facebook, and the little girl literally came over to the other girl's house with her uncle, and these two teenagers couldn't have been no more than 14 years old, and her uncle decides to give her a gun and place the gun in her hand to shoot the little girl. To shoot the little girl. This is what y'all doing now, right? This is what y'all doing now. Gang banging on YouTube, gang banging on Facebook. And then you want to put on this fake and phony facade. Yeah, we the chosen people of God. Shut up your lie. And I'm going to be honest with you. You better thank God that Sister Cherry Love is saved. Because I could say some things, Lord have mercy. But God is a wonder. And you're not worth the sin. So yes, again, I was hurt last night. I was hurt last night by that hangout that Mikael and Priest Lala, Lord have mercy. Y'all know I can't say this man's name, so y'all don't hold it against me. I was hurt last night. I was very hurt. But he told the truth. He told the truth about what is going on. Now, regarding, some of the ways of what they're talking about, the statutes and commandments and all that other stuff. Well, everybody needs God's law. Everybody needs God's law. So I would just leave it at that. And the fact of it is that we all need to turn back to God. Period. There's no other answer to this situation but the Lord Jesus Christ. There's no other answer but God Himself. Whether you're talking about the laws or whether you're talking about grace and mercy and all of those things, it's all about God. The entire world needs to turn back to the Father. And that's a fact. We got a bunch of godless people running around. Godless people. And what's even worse, we got a bunch of people now on social media who have taken on the form of godliness, trying to look godly on the outside, but still wicked as heck on the inside. Still a form of ungodliness. Come on, y'all. When does this stop? And everybody is talking about it. Everybody is talking about the brother Zach TV. And I even stopped by Sinetta's. Yeah, I stopped by his show. Him and Garfield last night, I believe, or a couple of days ago, I'm not sure. And they did a hangout, and they were talking about Zach TV, and then they was talking about some woman who was a bride and got upset at the, I guess, ex-husband or whatever, and she literally tried to shoot the lady, and the lady was carrying twins, and it so happened the gentleman was in the chat when Sinetta and Garfield was going live and said that was my family, and she lost the twins. Gun violence again. I mean, I want to cry out these names: Lakia Boyd, Tashawn Lee, Terrell Johnson, Ronald Johnson, who died 1 month apart from Laquan McDonald. Mm. And when he brought up the story about this young boy named Yummy, that flooded me back with so many memories. It would, oh my God, I could have fell on the floor crying. I literally began to shed tears at work yesterday. I was so angry at Mikael yesterday. But at the same time, he was right. This boy, I believe, was 12 years old, gang banging, going around shooting people. He messed around and shot some little girl. And guess what? His own gang ended up killing him. This other little girl who was stuffed in a freezer. This is what's going on. This is what's going on here in Chicago. This is not fun and games. This is hurtful. And y'all, I have never, outside of a funeral, outside of a funeral home, I have never seen nobody freshly get shot. But me and my husband, back in 2016, we seen it. And that's something that will never leave our minds. And I didn't want my kids to have that image in their head. So I made sure that I locked the door behind me to make sure that they wouldn't come out. The boy was dead in my backyard. in the same alley that we came up through, that when we got the gun stuck in our face, the same night that we called the police to warn them and say, look, there's some little boy out here, 13 or 14, could be no more than 15 maybe, running around here with a gun, and I believe he's looking for somebody in this particular area. Can you leave a police car? And guess what? It never did happen. Police didn't leave no police car. And guess what? That boy was able to carry out what she was planning on doing. You see? Now I'm bringing up both sides. We got, again, Laquan McDonald being gunned down by the police. But then we got Tyshawn Lee being gunned down by our own so-called people whose hands are clean. No, nobody's hands is clean. None. Both sides are at fault. Both sides are at fault here. And I very well understand about the depression and the oppression and the suppression that's going on in the community, but it does not give you green justification for you to go out there and gun somebody else down. And to the police officers, that don't give you a right, because you have the power, the authority, and the position to go out there and abuse your power and to gun somebody down. It doesn't give you a right. Both sides are accountable and both sides are wrong. And y'all know I'm right about it. And I know some of y'all may, oh, Sister Chick, especially the Hebrew Israelite, she a hypocrite. And I thought and they're gonna go back and make this about race. They're gonna, to the ones that, choose to. They're gonna go back and make it about race instead of looking to the important issues. This is not just all about race. This is what, okay, so what do you say for the gangbanger that decides to gun down a 5-year-old? What can a 5-year-old do to a 23-year-old? Besides whine, Quan, give me my toy, or I want candy and pop or chips, whatever. What about the 8-month-old baby that was gunned down back in 2013? What did she do? When her father was in the car, and again, this is Facebook crap. Again, about a PlayStation, y'all, a PlayStation, and an 8-month-old baby. She was in the car. The father, he was doing something and whatever. He was also too, I guess, involved in some Facebook drama or whatever, or probably gang member. I'm not sure. I don't quite remember. But I do remember this: that bullets went to flying and killed the baby. Or Hadia Pendleton. I guess y'all forgot about her, the one that went to perform for Obama's inauguration, and came back, and went to school, and she was doing after school program, and she was a straight A student, and then she decides to come out of the school and go on her way home, and then boy decides to let off gun rounds and shoots her. And I believe Hadia Pendleton was no more than maybe 15. 14, whole life ahead of her. What happens with her? And mind you, white folks wasn't involved in that. That was black on black. Black girl coming out of school, black boy with a gun, black boy shoots, black boy kills black girl. What do you have to say to that? Same thing with the different aspect, but wrong as well regarding Trayvon Martin and what's his name, Zimmerman, who decides he wants to follow Trayvon Martin, and Trayvon Martin is going about his day, went to the store to go buy him some bag and Skittles or whatever the case may have you, and then, in an Arizona tea, and he walking back minding his own business on the phone, then this dude decides to come up behind him, literally try to play that one West, bang, 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 I'm a police officer, cop and robbers, and then he shoots the boy. What do we do then? And they let him off. Zimmerman. So where's the justice in that? I mean, come on. See, on this one aspect regarding the police officers and their situation, and some of them, they do some things, and then guess what? They either get put on desk leave, or they get fired with their pension, or that, nothing happens. But then let me tell you how it the black community, those with the gang banging situation. I'm not going to just say black community. I'm going to say the gang banging situation. You know how you getting a slap on the wrist? You get 2 or 3 years, 4 or 5 years maybe, and you back on the street, and you decide to go and still go back to the same gun lifestyle, and you go and do it all over again. You see? Did y'all forget about Dwayne Wade's cousin? While she was walking down the street with her baby stroller, and literally with her baby in there, and she was on her way, I think, to get her daughter or her son, and then she was coming out, and then another guy decides to run down, shoot, bang bang, killed her. Yeah. The basketball star Dwayne Wade, Miami Heat, then decided that, that was the year that he was coming to the Bulls. So that's why I say ain't nobody's hands clean. And then I got more examples. I got 1,000 more. We'll be here until forever. Y'all, please stop this. Please. And I'm asking the Christian community, I'm asking all people, please. Y'all keep us in prayer. And I sure enough will keep y'all in prayer as well. I'm feeling a little down today and a little heartbroken by all that I told you. To the Hebrew Israelites, I don't hate you. Even to the ones that I named out here on this platform just right now. Mighty Hebrew, Priest Dalalala, oh Lord, and Global Media, Hassan, whatever his name is. I don't hate you. I don't hate you at all. But to Mighty Hebrew and Hassan, what you did, that was stupid. That was dumb. And Hassan, I am so disappointed in you. I've heard your platform before, and you know what, you have a pretty decent platform. You have a real decent platform. Every time you come into the chat, Sister Cherry always greets you with love. But what I seen, what you did, I am so disappointed in you. And I pray that you will do better. All of you. Christian community as well as Hebrew Israelite. And to those who are just in between, everybody, do better. Give God your best. And he will give you his best. Y'all keep me in prayer. I love you all. Even the ones that I reprimanded. And to Mikael ben Israel, thank you. Even though I didn't like the subject, but thank you. Even though I got at you last week about the gospel, and I'm still not changing my mind on that. I don't back down from that. But what you talked about, I felt it. And I stand with him on that. Before all my brothers and sisters in the world, I stand with Mikael on that. He was right. And I'm telling you the very same thing that he's telling you, no differently. There is a problem here in Chicago. So keep us in prayer. I love you all. I'm Sister Cherry Love from Shield Squad. God bless.